Update on my 30F suicidal boyfriend situation from 2 years ago. I can't find my original post since I used a different account, but to sum up my original post, my boyfriend at the time was threatening to kill himself if I ever left him. I got some great advice telling me that as was likely a manipulation tactic to get me to stay. They told me to call the police to escort my things out and to block him. Well, the way it went down was worse than I expected. 2 years ago, I called the police line to mention the threat and they came. They hid while I again told my boyfriend we needed to break up. He threatened to kill himself again and then the police then stepped in and advised him to step out. And he went hysterical. I went to get my stuff despite my boyfriend rushing to prevent me from leaving. As I was leaving, I saw him trying to pull his gun away from an officer. And as I was outside, I heard 2 gunshots fire. An ambulance was called, the doctors went in, and then they came out confirming me that the boyfriend had killed himself. At that point, I felt angry at myself and at everyone in the world because I felt that I caused his death. It didn't help his family started harassing me even after I blocked them due to their belief I caused his death. I eventually had to move away and closer to family. They advised me to go speak to a therapist and a support group and I eventually agreed. There, I met another broken soul 29M, whose girlfriend had been abusive and also killed herself after he left her. I am glad to say we both helped each other and are currently starting to date. Taking it slow, but we are falling in love. I thank you all for your support. I am glad you are in a better space now. I found the most useful quote from the advice blogger Captain Awkward. Someone who threatens suicide to manipulate you is committing an act of emotional terrorism. I will murder someone if you don't do what I want. If he harms himself, it will not be your fault. He will be proving that he is someone that will do violence rather than break up with you in a clean, respectful way. You don't have to negotiate with, or remain engaged with, people who threaten violence. Shared trauma is not necessarily compatibility. Keep this in mind. You just can't live for someone else. It is better that you were able to get free of your situation so that you could recover and live and love. I'm sorry that the police weren't able to prevent him from taking his life, but at that point it wasn't on you. I'm glad that you are healing and finding love again. I am sorry you went through that, but I am glad you are doing better. Wait, something to clarify here. Did he wrestle away the gun drawn by the officer? Or did he grab the gun by the holster? Was he already armed? Is that why the gun was drawn by the officer already? I'm just confused on how he got the gun in this situation. Very sad, but you were in fact blameless for his actions. If not you, it would have been some other thing or person who would appear to have caused it. If someone reaches a lowest point and makes up their mind, they are likely to make a serious life attempt irregardless of anything you did or said. It could have been an attempt to make you stay, but your own health and well-being was suffering and no one should face this to the degree you did. I am so happy that you are in a better place after working with a therapist. May your positive progress be full of abundance, love and joy as you journey forward far beyond the past. All you need to think about is the now. The past has gone, the future hasn't happened yet. I wish you the very, very best in the future. If he had threatened to kill a random person when you left him and followed through with that, you would blame him for committing that act of murder. As he killed himself, it is different but similar. He chose to act out, if you leave me I will commit murder, so this is not your fault and never was your fault. I'm glad you seem to be doing better. This sounds like a terrible thing to go through. Hope your life is filled with more peace and happiness going forward. Remember that none of this was your fault. Suicide is a choice and you didn't make it. So glad to hear things are going better now. Keep it up with therapy, keep moving forward. Good to hear that you finally found happiness after all that tragedy. Take it slow, enjoy it and savor it. You have a full life to lead and nothing to stop you now from achieving happiness. You and he deserve it. You are not responsible for anyone's actions but your own. You are entitled to be in or not in any relationship. Families always look for someone other than themselves to blame. I hope you and this new guy are happy. Sorry, by no means I want to say that this isn't true story, but something is bugging me. How could he shot himself twice? Where were the shoot wounds? Congratulations op. You can't be held hostage by people like him no matter what they threaten you with. Would you say the Reddit advice was good or bad in hindsight? You deserve to be happy. Wish you the very best. I'm sorry your ex put you through that. It's heartwarming to know that you met someone who will always understand that about you. I'm so happy for you both, thank you for the update. That family sounds trashy as shit, despite their grief. Ignorant. I'm happy you've been able to move past that undeserved sense of guilt, and work towards happiness you deserve. Keep going. Why would you call the police? They're notorious for not handling those situations well. There's other hotlines that are way better for handling someone threatening suicide. Good on you op. I'm glad you are getting what you deserve, peace and happiness. I may be retarded this evening, your new friendo, are they the one you are starting to fall in love with? Or are you both helping each other find love? Either way, huge congrats to you. But it's been a long day and I may be starting to not understand English, haha. 100% not your fault. His actions were his choice, you couldn't live your life being emotionally manipulated, that wouldn't be fair to you. So what happened? 2 years went by and you haven't been receiving enough attention over this, so you decided to make another Reddit thread, or? Because this was a pretty non-story update. Unless you actually just posted an update that happened 2 years ago. This isn't a fucking story telling sub LMAO, really pathetic. You are amazing, never forget that. I'm sorry that happened and I'm happy you are free. I do want to say that I'm so glad the police came. Imagine if he wasn't there and the police weren't trying to control him. He could have decided to kill you and then himself as well. This is a very common thing. The mentality of, I can't have you so no one will, and that's one of the reasons we get murder-suicides. Oh wow. What a journey you have been on. I have been on the brink of suicide in the past and I can tell you that at that point there is no one to blame. Even if you stayed, he still would have ended his life some way. I'm happy you're in a better place now. So sorry this happened to you, it is good to read that you found some support from your family and others. Don't let someone hold you hostage. So not your fault and glad you're doing well now. Open mouth smile also, sod his family. The dating someone in a similar situation thing seems like a bad idea. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Suicides in front of cops and suicide by cop, where the person acts in a threatening manner so cops will shoot them, are quite common. You did the best you could with the information you had. His family is trying to make sense of a tragedy and they're taking their grief out on you, which isn't right. Please stay strong. This is terrible, those people are obviously sick in the mind. I'm sorry for yours and the 29 yo male's experience, it sounds traumatic. I understand feeling like you're the cause even though logically you know you aren't. I hope you'll reach the point when you won't understand why you even felt like that from the first place. Heart. I'm sorry you went through that. You did the right thing calling the police. Your safety is important. I'm so glad you had the police with you. What would have happened if you were alone with him in this kind of situation? You did nothing wrong op, and I'm glad it's getting better now. I wish you and the person you are currently dating all the best. You would have never truly felt safe with him somewhere out there. Years down the line you'd still wonder if he had plans to murder-suicide the two of you. The cops hid where? I've never heard of police doing something like that. No original post, no news article. I don't buy this. Edit. In case anyone needs to look to this most likely fake story about suicide and reflect on how the world is today, please realize that relationships aren't that important. There are very few situations in this life that call for shooting yourself twice in the head. And for anyone trapped in such a situation, be smart, and devise an escape plan. Your stuff isn't worth your life. Keep nothing of value on your laptop and wipe it remotely if you must. People out there are crazy, and violent situations arise more commonly than we think. I'm sure you are aware after going to a therapist and support groups that you are not to blame for this. His threats may or may not have been very real. But his actions and reactions are the only thing he has complete control over, just as you can only control your own. I'm sorry this happened to you. His family blaming you, I assume, would just be misdirected grief looking for someone or something to blame other than their son. Denial. I am also sorry that they are still in that stage. They couldn't see through their grief that they are not thinking rationally, which is upsetting. I hope you have found your peace, you deserve it. Purple Heart. It's not your fault, but you have to believe it. Sad. Hope things are getting better for you. That's the worst controlling abuse there is. It was his issue, not yours. So this sub is complicit in a man's death. And no one's gonna talk about that. Good for you. It's funny how the universe works sometimes. You went through something majorly traumatic and still you found a worthy companion due to the same pain. A beautiful tragedy. All the best. Sounds like a fake post. Cops don't hide for any domestic, common call. Additionally, once the cops were inside, what the fuck were they doing? They were so inattentive that your ex could slip away from them and get his gun. If it wasn't you, it would have been someone else that he killer himself over. He sounds like he has borderline personality disorder traits. It's not your fault, op. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Take care of yourself, and I'm really sorry your ex ran you through the ringer like that, it's truly awful. But it's not your fault. Never forget that. It's good to know that you're doing better. Just try to think of your options at the time. He was giving you the ultimatum of him dying, or you staying with him. If you were to stay with him, you wouldn't be his partner, you would be a hostage. If you want to blame anyone for his death, blame the police. They were there specifically to prevent that from happening and they failed, making you the victim. I'm sorry you had to experience all that. Wow. What an experience. So sorry you went through all this op. I love happy endings. OMG, what a wonderful ending to the post. I wish you the best in this new endeavor. So glad you got into therapy and sorry you had to deal with all that shit. That's great. Good riddance, I'm glad you have been able to move on. Holy shit, that escalated quickly. I figured with the cops there the guy would be incapacitated and be unable to self-harm. Guess the cops weren't trained well enough to deal with it. I have replied to so many posts like your original with the advice that it's manipulation, but that doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Some people are just nuts and we can't save them. Decent creative writing assignment. Expected 5 full paragraphs. 83 1/100ths.